The thing that you should focus on is that bigger players, people with more money, people with more access to the system did not get shut down, right? So it's about access to the system and how leverage in the form of people having to put up collateral for the stocks that you own anyways, that you put up cash, not margin, but cash for, you didn't really have it. So to me, that's the big gotcha, right? That's the one you should focus. Stop blaming institutions. The system is broken.
I'm almost out of time, but there is an innate conflict in your model. Let's imagine right now that we are today's version of Alex Burns. I'm nervous. I think I've got an exposure, and I call your helpline now. Let's call and let's listen in the time we have remaining to what I'm going to hear on the other end of the phone.
Oh, man.
For calling Robinhood, please visit us at robinhood.com or on our app for support. If you have an urgent trading need, please make sure to include details of your order when reaching out. Thanks and have a great day.
Mr. Caston, you may wrap up.
I give back my time.
This dude doesn't fuck around.
Go ahead, Mr. Caston.
God damn. I think we can see that burn from space.
Forgive me. Let me interrupt you there. You admitted to making mistakes. Specifically, what mistakes did you make?
I admit to always improving, and certainly we're not going to be public. We're not going to be perfect, and we want to improve and make sure.
Number one. Okay. Number one is, why did this shit happen? Okay. It is because there is a clearing process, and I usually like to use my paint, but I don't have it today. Okay. There is a clearing process that happens between brokerages. Okay. So when you buy a stock, you don't actually hold it. A brokerage holds it in your stead. They have a custodianship kind of thing, right? And they don't even hold it. It must be delivered to them by the previous holder of it, right? So what happens is it takes, so you'll hear these words, T+2. What that means is it refers to a regulation out there that's called Reg T, right? And it's specifically saying that you cannot hold the stock unless you have the cash for it, right? Unless you're on a margin account, which is different. Point is, it takes 2 days to get to you. Even though we're in a super electronic system, it takes 2 days. 1 day for options, 2 days for stock. And these are business days. So because of that process, people, institutions basically have to be, they don't have to have the funds to hold your stock. So it's kind of crazy that a brokerage can hold only 25%. I don't know what the margin is. Okay, but they don't actually hold all the cash and securities available at any one time. It's just like your bank, right? They don't hold all the cash to give it to you at any one time. And that's the way you need to think about it. The entire world runs on credit. What does that mean? It's a giant fucking IOU, okay? Even T1 and equity would be huge. Exactly. So that's one concept you need to understand is during the high market volatility, there was, and this is allegedly because everyone is sorting everything out, but allegedly Robinhood did not have the money to put up for the requirements by the clearinghouses, DTCC and NSCC. DTCC is the clearer of the stocks and cash of securities. And NSCC actually takes on the credit risk, right? The IOU risk. They required Robinhood to have more collateral. They say collateral. They had to have more money put up to continue doing business. If they did not continue doing business via having that collateral put up, right, then everybody on that platform would have been liquidated. It would have been worse. Now, they are examining what the actions were of Robinhood, right? So that's one thing that you need to kind of understand. Well, actually, let's go into this. So then the second thing that they start to talk about is naked short selling. So there's this thing called Regulation SHO that is out there that as of 2008 does not allow people to naked short sell. What is a short? You borrow a stock and you're making a bet that the stock is going to go down because you sell it into the market and then you try to buy it back. So sell high, buy low, right? Now you must, via regulation, have an expectation that you are going to be able to locate that borrow or that it's going to come to you quickly within a reasonable time frame is what the regulation says, right? Now, what's crazy is we saw if the stock that they tried to borrow, let's take GME, if it doesn't come back to them to locate or find this borrow that you want to short, then it's called a fail to deliver. No one discussed the 1 million in shares of failed to deliver. That's the other point that I think you should look at. Now, failed to deliver doesn't necessarily mean that it was naked short selling. So don't make that connection. And we will dive deeper into this, but I just want to do some basic things that you need to look at, right? Second, after you look at all this, you need to realize that the thing that you should focus on is that bigger players, people with more money, people with more access to the system did not get shut down, right? So it's about access to the system and how leverage in the form of people having to put up collateral for the stocks that you own anyways, that you put up cash, not margin, but cash for, you didn't really have it. So to me, that's the big gotcha, right? That's the one you should focus. Stop blaming institutions. The system is broken, all right? But some notable things that we saw, Robinhood very clearly delineated a process where they would not have been able to continue. That was really interesting to hear him actually say that, because I've been following and listening to his, talking to a lot of people, and he didn't really mention that until now. So I thought that was important. Third, they really grilled him on this process called payment for order flow. What is payment for order flow? Okay. So basically, if a brokerage, right, routes your order to a market maker, let's take Citadel in this instance that you saw, and they route it to them instead of an exchange, Citadel pays them for that on a percentage of the bid-ask spread. Not via share, but the percentage of the bid-ask spread. And I'll tell you why that's important in a second. So you go and you understand that the exchange isn't competitive in what they call is execution quality. So I'm going to just go really simplistic. We can do a bigger breakdown when I actually have a streaming setup. But execution quality, what does that mean? It means you getting a good fill. What is defined as a good fill, right? Is there's a longer process that we have to go to. But anyway, so basically you want something that an exchange close to what the exchange is showing, right? So third, what you need to look at is what was interesting is that they were grilling DFV on whether he had prior experience. And I looked up his licensure, and it looks like he has a lot of licenses. So I thought that was interesting because my impression was that he was a retail trader. So I was interested to see that he had licenses. While I do like to meme about, buy the stonk and I like the stonk, I think it was still interesting that I didn't have that impression. I'm not sure if everyone else did, but that was news to me. I don't know if that's bad or good. I have to really sit down and think. I want to not try to decide about a lot of this stuff because it's such a complicated process, and order flow is very interesting to me. But anyway, so those are the three things that I think that you should focus on. He trades from home, so isn't he kind of a retailer? Yeah, usually someone doesn't have licensure. You know what I mean? Right. But the thing is he's not only got the licensure for financial advisor, he has the licensure to be an actual broker. So, I mean, it's not just that. Like, if you look at his FINRA check, by the way, you guys can look up anybody at any time. If you have their number, you can look up firms. You can look up what the SEC says about them. It's a really informative way to do your due diligence. And like, I love the hype. I love having fun. But, at the end of the day, it's about you making an informed decision, right? It's not about me making an informed decision or us memeing here. It's about you making an informed decision. So it's called brokerage check from FINRA, and you can go out there and look at it. Maybe Wobble. I think this thing is like an onion, right? The more, and it's going to be a journey. Okay. And we're going to look at it closer, but it's going to be a journey of finding out and peeling back the layers of what the narrative is versus like what's actually going on. We did about a week ago look at the regulations and what actually people were saying. That was really interesting. Yeah, I mean, every week I feel like there's something new and interesting to go into further. And especially, the last thing that you guys should see was that DTCC, which is the clearinghouse, was not there, and neither was the SEC. They did not drag out this hearing as much as they do other ones. So it was like, I felt like it was a little bit of a stall until maybe the SEC and the DTCC can officially come up with a response and maybe investigate more. It was very much a show. I think you should be very careful to not get played into kind of the theater of it and realize what's going on. I mean, I did enjoy what was very telling was obviously some of these people did do their homework. It was obvious who didn't do their homework. And once you start to see that there are people who did homework and who didn't, you'll know that you're starting to really understand the situation. All right, guys. So I think those were the 4 important things. I will continue to look at this. If you guys are super interested in it, I will research it more. But what's really crazy is the amount of time to research this stuff is kind of insane. I think it's going to be an investment. I think it's a good idea because then we'll know payment for order flow and stuff like that. I mean, we already did the breakdown into the legal aspect and the regulation SHO and the fails to deliver. So that was interesting. But I think the important thing here is if you take anything today, anything at all, I think it's clear. I think we need to focus on access and demand that of people. And we should get educated about this process because if somebody almost went broke, that's your money, Knowing the SIPC limits that you are only covered by the government and insurance in your brokerage account of under $250,000. I understand that you guys may not have that much, but for those of you out there who do, it's only $250,000 in cash, $500,000 in securities. So you should probably consider spreading your money around. And I'm just talking about things that you should do today. Second, understand the stability of the broker that you're doing business with, because that's your money. What does a liquidation process look like? Well, we can look at Bernie Madoff because Madoff was a registered and licensed broker. And it took months for that shit to be dealt with. We need to look over the clearance and settlement process, right? Exactly. Brokerages are just like, I love this, Phil. Brokerages are just like any financial institution. If they went bankrupt, you could be screwed. Now, you are covered via SIPC insurance. So that's some things that you should do today. Write or call your congressman. You can literally talk to your congressman, especially if just tell them that leverage in the system happened in 2008. It's happening again. Nothing happened, but it could have. So I think it's important for you to talk to your congressman. Maybe you don't know a lot about it, but you can just talk about how it personally affected you and your situation, right? I know some of you got some weird feels. Some of you guys got some, weren't able to trade. Some people had their money in limbo going from broker to broker because the cash settlement process wasn't working very smoothly that week. But hopefully that helps clear up a lot of what you heard.
I don't have anything to add at this time, just that I would be the first to acknowledge that investing in stocks and options is incredibly risky, and it's so important for people to do their own thorough research before investing. But that said, I tend to agree with you that folks should be able to freely express their views on a stock, and they should be able to buy or not buy a stock based on those views that they may have.
I think he said stonks.
Mr. Gill, on that
Guys,
note,
did he say
so how do you
stonks?
feel if